Hey, hello, what's up guys? It's Jamie, aka the FUT Economist, coming at you guys today with a much requested video, and that is how to sell your cards for a higher price, and also how to sell a higher percentage of the cards that you list on the transfer market. Before we get into the video, I do want to let you guys know that the past two giveaways that I've done on this channel, the 10K giveaway and the 7.3K giveaway, per my new lottery system, actually were not won, meaning that they were going to be carried over to this video, making this video a 17.3K giveaway. Now, if you guys want to have a chance at winning that, make sure you guys stay to the end of the video, where I'll give you guys details on how to enter and how to win. Alright, so let's get into it. So there are two main factors, in my opinion, that affect what price you can sell a card at and the percentage chance of that card being sold. And those are how you list them and when you list them. This video is going to cover the how part of that. I'm going to have a part 2 coming out later that's going to go over time zones and, countries that go to bed at certain times when people get back from school. That'll be coming out later, sort of like a part 2 to this video. But this video is going to cover how you list them. So I'm going to break this video up into two parts. The first is going to be covering how to list consumables, and the second is going to be how to list player cards. The first part we're going to cover is consumables. So actually within this consumable sections, I'm going to break it up into another two parts. The first part's going to be covering, and I'm just going to go over really briefly, consumables that can be specifically searched for. And what I mean by that is like position changes, chemistry styles, and non-rare fitness and contracts. What's unique about these cards is that you can directly search for them using the search functions that EA have given us on the web app. So for example, with position changes, you can directly search for a CM to CAM card, and you can use the price filters to look for the absolute lowest price. There isn't a whole lot of inefficiency in this sort of search. The buyer can look for the absolute lowest price, and there isn't a whole lot of techniques that you can use to raise your chances of selling it other than listing it for a lower price than the minimum buy now. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the consumables that are unspecifiable. The consumables that you can't specifically search for just based off of their price. And what that means is that we can get a little bit tricky in the way that we list them in order to get people to buy them for prices that they probably shouldn't be paying for them at. So these are going to include your player trainings, your goalkeeper trainings, your your manager leagues, your rare contracts and fitness cards, and then the healing cards. So I guess I can go into my transfer list to show you a quick example. So what I've done here is I've listed a rare squad fitness for 1,300 at the bid and then 1,400 at the bin. This is the quote-unquote fair price for them right now. That's sort of what the lowest buy now is as it goes through the trade block. But what I've also done is right after that, I've listed the card for 1,200 at the bid price and then 1,500 at the bin price. Now, if you'll notice, I did not use my relist all button. That is probably the worst thing you could do because it relists everything at the sort of exact same price at the exact same time. And what it's going to look like to the average buyer is that it looks like you're price fixing. And even if you're selling it for a fair price, they're probably going to click to the next page to make yours. So what I do is I vary my price by a couple iterations every time, usually about 100 coins. And more specifically what I do is I just showed you is I list something at the fair price, hoping that someone's going to buy it at that bin price, and then I list something a little bit below as the bid starting price, and then a little bit above as the bin buy now price, hoping to start sort of a bidding war because people recognize that the card before it is going for the fair price. And then hoping that someone will eventually just get frustrated and then buy the next card at 1,500. I find that this is actually really effective. I find that I sell up to 75% of the cards that I bid after. You would think that these cards right here wouldn't bid for or wouldn't go for the 1,500, but I sell 75% of them actually at that price. Another tip that I want to offer you guys is to make sure that when you're listing these, what I usually do, I don't have an example right now, but what I usually do is I list two types of cards at the same time. So for example, I'll be doing a squad fitness and then I'll be list two squad fitnesses and I'll list two healing cards. What that does is it makes it so that it's sort of unrecognizable, the pattern, because if you basically did this like 20 times in a row, people are going to pick up on it. They're going to recognize that you're basically just going back and forth between the price iterations, and they're not going to, trust that this is a fair price. Listing player cards, there are actually a couple more things that we have to take into consideration compared to when we're listing the consumables. And that's because the player cards are actually not uniform. And what I mean by that is that the player cards have things like contracts, fitness, and chemistry style that determine how much someone's willing to pay for it and whether or not someone's going to buy it. And especially for the higher price cards, I've actually gotten away with listing these cards for 750 or maybe even 1,000 coins more than what they should be going for. And what I've actually done is I've developed a couple creative ways to make it so that I can do this in a really cheap manner. Alright, so let's start to break down the different techniques that I use. So the first thing that I do as pertaining to contracts is at the beginning of every game, I make sure that I go out and I buy a bunch of managers, or that I don't quick sell any of my managers when I get them in my pre-order packs or my Sunday packs or whatever you want to call them. And the reason for that is if you look down here, the negotiations actually go plus 3% on every single manager that you get. And that what that means is that basically all those can add up to an up to 50% bonus to the amount of contracts that you apply. So say you apply a 7 contract, a gold contract to a player, that will actually go up to 12 contracts because of that 50% bonus. What that does is it's going to make your card more appealing if you just apply like a 7 contract card to them than, say, the average card that's going to have, 2 or 3 contracts, or maybe even 7 if they got it fresh out of a pack. Another thing that I do is when I do the bronze pack method in the beginning of the year, I never ever sell any of my bronze contracts. And the reason for that is if I get a couple that I don't really have any other use for them, I just throw them on my cards that I'm about to sell. And it makes it that much more appealing to the average buyer. Another thing that I do is I actually create a squad called my fitness squad. And basically what I do here is any card that I have that doesn't have full fitness but I do want to sell them on, I will just put in this card and then wait until that squad fills up, and then I'll apply a fitness card to all of those players, and basically I'll get full fitness on all of them for pretty cheap. Another thing that you could do if you don't want to do that or you're not patient is if in the beginning of the year or even now, if you do the bronze pack method, don't quick sell your non-rare bronze fitness cards, because what you can do is basically you can just use those to boost the fitness of the cards that you want to sell on, and if you're basically going to quick sell them anyway for something like 13 coins, you might as well just use them to up the fitness of the cards that you're selling. So the final thing that you can do, and I'll be honest, I don't really do this all the time, but it can be kind of helpful. You can go to the chemistry styles and then look up a desirable chemistry style, such as Sniper, that you can get for cheap, and then see if you can't find them for 200 coins. Maybe even bid on it. It's pretty easy to do. You basically just slap it on there, and then oftentimes you can list it up for maybe 300 more coins. You might be able to get away with it, but most of the time it's not worth it. Now when it comes to listing cards in terms of their price, if it's a cheap card, you kind of want to just follow the same method that I talked about in the consumable section, but if it's a more expensive card, there's sort of a different technique that you want to follow. And it's basically that you want to set the bid price below the price that you're actually willing to sell it at, and then you want to set the bin price a little bit above the price that you're willing to sell it at. And hopefully what you want to do is start a bidding war so that the price actually gets bid up, and then finally just someone gets frustrated and buys it out above the actual price that it should be going for. Alright guys, so that's all I've got for this video on how to list your cards for a higher price than they actually should be going for. It's really effective, especially if the card weight is low. You can actually get away with listing it for maybe 750 or even 1,000 coins above what they should be going for. If you guys want to enter that giveaway I talked about at the beginning of the video for 17.3k, the question of the day is, what do you guys want to be when you grow up? That's a random question. I'm kind of running out of question ideas. But you guys know the deal. You got to be subscribed, like the video, and then answer that question to be entered. I'll announce the winner maybe on my Twitter or definitely in the next video. But other than that, it's been Jamie, aka the FUT Economist. Keep your trade piles full, stay rational, and I'll see you in the next video.